Alrighty. For some reason, this window keeps not resizing correctly. Let me see if I can fix it real quick. Watch your eyes. Oh, let me make sure I'm logged in. Okay. I think this is me. Okay, so let's restart this window. I'm going to do a very, very short stream today, maybe in the realm of 30 minutes. So let's get cracking. Here, stream. I thought of something I wanted to do too, but probably not today. So, hey Snain, thanks for showing up. Let's do a quick, let's do a follow-up to, I don't know, let me look through those things here. Noise maker, scarves, environmental sculpting. I can do a quick hair walkthrough. Stylized armor. Well, okay, let's do this. So let's go into the comic key here, and we're going to go into project. We're going to grab our little demo head here. Let's turn off the floor. And so last time what we did was doing the hair cards. So if you remember, I'm going to go out of edit mode and hit Control N. We're going to go ahead and grab any Polymesh 3D, doesn't matter. Go into edit mode, go down here to initialize, do a Q cube, and then we're going to hit W to go into rotate, hold down shift, and we're going to snap that to a 45-degree angle. We scaled this out a bit, and then we went ahead and beveled, edge loop complete. So we get 3 equal parts here, and now we're going to just Control W to polygroup all these. Now I'm going to go ahead and take off these end caps here. Hit delete hidden. I'm going to hit B, create insert mesh, new, and now we have an insert mesh brush for this hair. We're going to go over here to stroke, and we're going to say open up all this curve stuff and do turn on curve mode. So now we have curve mode turned on, and then under brush we're going to go back here to modifiers, and we're going to say weld point, stretch, curve res, curve res up, max bend angle. I think we can leave down to 0. We can crank that up to 100. No restrictions. Well, no, let's drop that down. Okay, so here's another variation of that, so they don't have caps on them. And the reason why we might do that, although you know what we need to do, let's go ahead and let's go back to where we have this thing here. I'm going to run a quick crease operation on this to go ahead and crease those tight corners. Hit B, create insert mesh, new, stroke, curve mode, yada, 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 beep, boop, beep. There we go. So now I have this. If you wanted to put on a taper, that's where you go into intensity size, change your curve fall off, and we'll go big to a little smaller. Now we have our curb tube, and then we can go back to our head here. And the first thing we're going to do is go here to subtool, duplicate, take this head. I'm going to go a deformation deflate, so negative, let's say 2. Go in here with my clay tubes or my clay buildup and start sculpting in where I want this hair to go. And so I'm going to hit X to go out of X symmetry, and we're just going to go through here and be like, okay, we're sculpting here, etc., etc. However you want to do this. Now, of course, if you have Sculptris Pro mode turned on, let's go ahead and now this alpha should still work. So now we have Sculptris Pro mode turned on, so we can go down here to our snake hook. We went over a lot of the new functionality last live stream, which is Tuesday. It should still be on my YouTube channel as well, and also Pixelogics, if it's been updated, which I think it has. So you can use Sculptris Pro to do whatever you want. You can just dynamically tessellate like so. I was gonna do a Venom head with, a lot of goopy tongue spit type stuff, which would be kind of fun, especially taking a key shot. But we will do that next time because I need to get a lot of recording done. So I'm gonna just do this real quick, and I think I'm gonna hop off. But we'll see. So we've got the hair going how we want to, and now we're gonna use our brush here to say, this is where I want my hair to go, and you're gonna go from root to tip, and you're probably gonna go also, let's make sure we're in the very back here. Let's go ahead and let's turn off Sculptress mode. And with this brush here, obviously Sculptress Pro isn't going to work with that brush. And let's go underneath the, where are we at? Stroke, brush, depth. Let's go ahead and push that depth in. And now you can start putting these essentially like stylized hair cards. Now they're not going to be, if I go ahead and do a split mask points here and hit D, since they're not capped, I wouldn't, did I not uncap that one end? This end shouldn't be. This end should be capped too. I can get rid of that in a second. So I wish I could go in here and just edit this brush. I mean, I can. We'll append a new one. So let's say, you know what, we want one that's capped like we've made, and then we want one that's not capped. So what I'm going to do, go out of edit mode, hit Control N, go to my poly mesh here, hit W. I'm going to grab our original. Well, we'll grab this one. And we'll go ahead and select it. And let's go ahead and pop the bottom off of this one. So now you've got one that's uncapped. So with this one selected, I'm going to hit B, create insert mesh, append. Is this not an insert mesh brush? Oh wait, Q, B, create insert mesh, append. Okay, I guess you can't be, you had to be in draw mode. So now they have that selected. We just got to go through here again. Sorry. Well, no, curve mode's already on. We just need to go to the brush modifiers and make sure that all these things are up. Now we can go back to our head. And then the depth we're going to have to change again. There we go. So we can say we had one that wasn't capped and then have one that is capped. But anyways, let's go ahead and delete that. Go back to our head here, and if you're using basically your original sculpt to kind of dictate how the hair lays on the head, or you can just go in here and start making hair if you want. And you're going to go through here and you're going to say, okay, this is hair, and then tap off this is hair, and then tap off this is hair. And we can also do different sizes, or you can even do different widths that you can capture. So you can do a little bit more variation. Whatever. And again, the reason I'm leaving these uncapped is so I can finally go, you know what, let's go ahead and split mask points. So we have our head here. Oh, I didn't want to split mask points, I wanted to split the parts. Let's take all these, split hidden, let's move this down. And now we've got all of these pieces here. And if I do an auto groups, that's polygroups, auto groups, it's going to split those all up into different groups, right? Now I can go through here and I can say, let me use my move brush with auto masking on, mask by polygroups up to 100, or you can use topology, mask by topological. In this case, you can go through here and you can helix these things out, as well as if you hit Control and just select any one of these, position this little deformer right here, and then we could even do a bend curve deformer. Let's go ahead and choose our axes and our curve resolution, and you can use this. This one's kind of tilted, so it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be close enough to where we can use these things to go through here. We can scale and twist and move these things around as well. You can go through here and just kind of take this one and then this one, etc. Then we can say accept. It might even be easier if you go in here to your brush and then you say as line. And if you just take, let's go to this side here. One, straight back, turn off bend, turn off snap. So as line, we're just going to make a straight one. Boy, it really, just do a straight. let's go back to the head here. Is that going to treat us any better? Yeah, it really wants to just kind of do a little something. That's okay. So we can do this. We can go ahead and do a split mass points. We can hit W, and now with this deformer, we can go into bend curve, and now it's going to go straight down that. So you can easily do this, and like I said before, you can go through here and you can start twisting this a little bit and getting a little bit more flow and motion through here. Alternatively, even if you just have a let's go back to curve mode. Let's turn off as line. We'll turn on bend and snap back on. And always remember you have elastic and liquid in here as well. So you can start modifying this and you can start keep dragging out. And it'll lock your ends so that you can see your ends are going to stay locked, but you can make these things longer or shorter. And then if you hold down Shift and start smoothing, that'll go ahead and get rid of these things. So it'll make it a little bit more manageable. Also on here, if you have your blue thing selected and you hold down Control, you can start twisting along this axis as well. So if you make this really big and then hold down Control, you can start spiraling down these axes as long as your curve is activated. So that's another option you can do. And then once you tap off of this, you can hit W. Let's make our gizmo match this line. We'll go back into our bend curve deformer. And then again, we got to pick our correct axes, and then you could even increase the curve resolution if you need to, and now you can start moving this thing around as needed. And I think you all have an overall smoothness, so you're probably going to want to make sure that's maxed out. Let's go ahead and say accept, and we'll go ahead and delete those. So now, anyways, so okay, we've got a version of stylized hair like we did last time, only we got the caps open. So this is what Tony Reynolds showed me, is basically because we have these lines that are creased, you can now use, let's go back to our trusty Polymesh 3D here. We're going to go to initialize Q cube again. Let's hit W. We'll scale this out. Again, we'll just do another bevel. And now we're going to do a hair card. And so that means we don't need any of this back polygons here. Delete hidden. Control Shift. Grab this top one. Control W. Now we have 3 polygroups here. Brush. Create insert mesh. New. Same old, same old. Stroke. Curve mode on. It's not going to do a great job of welding points, but we'll fix that in a second. So now we have our hair card curve brush. Go back to our head, and then wherever we have these things creased, or you could even, if you wanted to, probably group by normals and then do a polygroup one. You can now do a frame mesh by creased edges, and then just drop your new hair card right along those creased edges, and you should be able to, and then since these are now curves, you can manipulate these curves however you want, but at least you can have hair cards that are being dictated by those stylized open capped surfaces. Let's go ahead and do a split mass points here. And now you've got hair cards that you can, again, make them bigger, make them smaller. You'll have to use the root to tip, but at least you can get kind of a head start on your hair mesh creation. You could even use these as they are. You can go through here, and again, if you do a group by normals over here, you can say subtool, geometry, modify topology, and you can do unweld groups border, and that'll go ahead and split these up. So now these are all separate hair card strips as well. If that gives you a little bit of hassle, so you can see as I smooth these things, let's go ahead and turn off auto masking mask polygroups down to 0. So you can see these are all separate. So now these are just hair cards that meet up on the sides. You can go through here and you can do an inflate or a deflate if you want to have these kind of cross over a little bit. So now we've got hair cards that we can run strips along here. We've got hair cards over here that we can run along. And even on these ones, you can do a quick inflate or deflate if you want to kind of run those through. So now we have a plethora of quick, easy hair cards. You can run your textures through and call it a day. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Oleg says, would you recommend to create UVs inside of ZBrush or switch to another software? I got a feeling there's no good control of seams by using UV Master. UV Master seams you have excellent control over if you use polygrouping. So when we go over here to Z plugin and we say, geez, let me close these menus. You're gone. You're gone. So when you use UV Master, have this polygroups turned on, and then wherever you have a polygroup, you're going to have a seam. Or you can use another program. I use other programs for my UVs for sure. Dr. Gavagi says, I have a question. Is it possible now in ZBrush to export PNG text where it's transparent, avoids exported black background? Ooh, that's a good one. Let's find out. So let's say we go to, well, yeah, you should be able to, if you BPR it, I know that has, oh, you know what? Maybe it doesn't have a PNG with alpha, but what I'm thinking of is when we go down here to, God, my brain is gone. Boy, that's going to be fun recording this morning. Let's say we go to PPR render pass. There is a mask here that you can use if you hit BPR. But yeah, as far as like texture, grab doc, or alpha, grab doc, and then we say export this as a PSD, BMP, or TIFF. Export this, PSD, JPEG, PNG, but the PNG, how do we make that? I would probably just end up, just hit BPR, just export this mask. That's a good one. I'm not sure about that. Cool, I'm doing good, Voodoo. Thanks for showing up. I could probably do a decent Yoda impression while I do this. All right, well, hopefully that'll be a good addendum to the previous. So if you guys missed it, that would be the YouTube. That would be the YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel here, and you can see here the Dragon Ball Z hair creation. You could do that stylized hair too, but if you leave those ends uncapped, now you can run this, and then you can get pretty decent hair cards pretty quickly. Just something else you can add to your repertoire. How are we doing on time? It's only 19 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna go for another 10 minutes, let's say. Any other questions? Or I can start working on, oh, you know what? Did I save that? We can see if, let's see, record streaming. Let's see if I can take this one and we can go into solo mode, Shift D. So yeah, on this one, when we did the hair cards, we just did root to tip, and it went along here. So now if we do group by normals, don't crash, and then, so these tips get really small, and I think we actually went through, I wish there was is there a delete geometry modified topology? I want to delete by, Think, Mike, think. Is there, you can take your camera and you can polygroup by camera. Trying to think if there's a easy way to get rid of these caps here, because I don't want to frame these. So like if we just take like the largest example here, we're going to go ahead and split hidden here, do Shift D to go out of this mode. And okay, on this one here, you could, let's just do it. We could brute force it. We could, oh man, there's got to be a way to, so if we do group front, group visible, regroup by edges. All right, let's just do this. Control Shift, select this lasso. We're going to grab all these points here, invert that. And that may be Control Shift S to shrink, invert that. Okay, that might be good enough. We'll go ahead and delete hidden on this one. And then we'll go ahead and take these bottom ones too. Control Shift S to shrink, invert that, delete hidden. And now if we do a group by normals, we can just do a double check. That might be good enough. But now we do have those creases along here, and we now have polygroup by normals, but we can just use our creasing like we did before. So we can take this hair, and then one more time, we can go to, what are we doing? Brush. Go into our brush, grab this one. We have a hair card selected, and now we can go frame. Put these back over here. Frame, crease, mesh, here, moop. We've got our hair cards in there. Oh, that's one more thing I needed to cover. Okay, so we can say, make these a little bit bigger. And we can go, okay. Now, it's going to be kind of hard to tap off this object and delete those curves. So I'm going to go back in here and hit delete, and then we're going to do a split mask points. And now on this one, we can go here and we can inflate and deflate these things across them over. Now you're going to see when I go here and I do an auto groups, some of these things aren't going to be nicely welded. So what I'm going to do here is just run a geometry modified topology weld, and we can just weld these. Change your weld distance if you need to. You may not need to. They're right on top of each other. So now if we do an auto groups, excuse me, it should be fine. So now we've got a bunch of hair cards in here, as well as we can go back to our original here, and then we can do another group by normals, and then we can do our trusty geometry geometry modified topology. What I do, unweld group border. If this doesn't work for some reason, and it should, but just in case, you can also do a split, group split, and then of course you're going to have to, let's go into, so these are all on, so it's a bunch of them. So we're going to turn off this one here, and turn off this one here. So all I want visible, turn off this, turn off this. All I want visible are these cards that I've just split off, and now I can do a quick merge visible, and then with this merged head here, now we have these cards, and of course we can run our deflate a little bit, and then append. We'll go back to this head, whoops. So we've merged all these, and then I can append these cards back to this one, and of course we can append our head back. And then we can go delete all. So now we've split them and merged them, put these things back. We have tens of hundreds of thousands. Let's go ahead and let's do another deflate on this one to really cross them over. And now with this one, again, if we go into our move brush here and we do topological, that's where you can go through here and you can turn that on. Say, oh, yeah, that's fine. You can go through here and you can like do flyaways, and you can hold down shift to smooth to shrink them down, or whatever you need to do, and you can kind of just break up this, and the same thing in this one here. You can very quickly, or use your deformers to manipulate these curves and stuff like that. Makes sense. Cool. What would you recommend for unwrapping? I would say every major 3D package. Ooh, I got hot water. That's right. I would say every major 3D package right now has really good ways to unwrap. I still use, what's it called? Hedis. I still use Hedis a lot. So whatever you're kind of used to. Any things I need to be specifically aware of when I sculpting to 3D print? If you're just sculpting, kind of just get it done, and then there's a ways to prep your object. You want to make sure that there's no, you can do a union mesh, and in fact, you can now do that within a deformer. So if we have our head here, and we say brush insert model toolkit, and instead of, you know what, I'm just going to let it pick for me what I drag out. So we'll just go to randomize this a little bit. We're going to go into our brush modifiers, and we're going to say multi-mesh selector is 3, and now it'll just manually start dragging these in. So if you're making your mesh here and you're like, okay, now I want to 3D print this thing, you're going to want to make sure that, you know, there's nothing like this that's kind of sitting out by itself, and no holes in your object, so you just need to do a little bit of cleanup work. Ways to check this is, if you want to, you can just like dynamesh this all together, and now you've got an airtight mesh after you've cleaned it up, and then you can just go through here and look and make sure everything's okay. Another thing you can do is you can go down here to geometry, let's see, Boolean, turn on live Boolean, go down here, Boolean mesh, and this will make a union mesh, or it should. Let's see, what do we do here? Make Boolean mesh. I said make Boolean mesh. So do it. Live Boolean's on. Oh, you know what? These things have to be separate. Stupid. So you have to Boolean two objects together, right? So now, again, one of those days, everybody. I apologize. So make Boolean mesh. So now those two are both showing. Now we have a union mesh, and now these things are all sewn up. And you can still go through here and you can see and make sure everything's fine. You also, if you wanted to, so this is why I got confused, is because if you do have all of these things together, you can just go into your deformer now and you can say remesh by union, and then all of these things will just be union together. So now if I say accept that, and now we get the same result. These things are all union together. Another thing you can do is remesh by union, go through here. Oh, if you wanted to, for example, let's go ahead and undo that. So here we are. These things aren't unioned yet. So if you take this one and mask it, you can see these are all separate still. But say you wanted to shove this one further in, and also you wanted to cut it out of your object, all you need to do is isolate it and go to your polygroup menu and do group as dynamesh sub. And now when you do a remesh by union, it'll go ahead and chop that out. So then you can say accept, and you are good to go. Of course, yeah, this isn't going to 3D print very well. So you'd want to do like a close holes. Dynamesh will also give you an envelope if you want a little bit of a looser envelope than a live Boolean, which is going to give you a very exact envelope. Make sure you don't have any weirdo geo, like this is going to be gross. Also, I would assume undercuts. I'm not a 3D printing expert by any means, so you'd probably want to pick and choose what you printed out so that your undercuts, if you wanted to make molds of them later, separate those pieces out, do your key registration, and do it like that. How viable are fan art sculpts in a portfolio? And they're my questions for today. So that's Dirk Zilla asked that. So I would say fan art should be fine, I would imagine. And in fact, if it's just a way to show a company that like, hey, I did some fan art and I nailed a concept, that's pretty. I think a lot of companies are impressed by that, especially on the senior level. At the senior level, you should be able to nail a concept, and you could just call that fan art. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, unless I'm. Yeah, you can. I mean, you'd want to give if you know who drew it. Like if you took a concept off ArtStation, then for sure point back to their ArtStation. That's always the nice thing to do. But other than that, I would say it should be fine. Or I like to take kind of pop reference type stuff and just make that like the Pickle Rick we did, or like if I was going to do a Venom sculpt or the level 9000 hair that we did. Yeah, yeah, just techniques. No, it's not ideal, but would you ever use ZBrush for doing environment creation for UE4, large spaces, buildings? Sure, and I've done that before. We've talked a little bit about it. I don't know if I can find this anymore, but let's say we go to, give me a sec, ECDE. God, it's been so long. Nameless, source, assets, environments, iRoom. So this is an Unreal environment I did, and yeah, like you said, it's not ideal. Its interior spaces are a little bit tough, but we've showed this before. So we got this back wall chopped off here. So if we take this and we just go ahead and Alt tap through here. So here's the room that we made. So for example, if I just isolate the ceiling, here's the ceiling that's kind of blocked out, and then here's the walls that are kind of blocked out. And then if we go ahead and remove these, so it's a little bit of juggling you need to do. And now you can see like, oh, here's the mesh for the hallway that you walk up out of. And you can kind of walk into this room here, into this floor, and there will be a little basket hanging from the ceiling with flames in it. And you can do a little puzzle where you walk down the floor and up here and then shoot through the flames. It's like a little Zelda puzzle, and this will hit the eyeball, and then the eyeball will rotate here, and then these doors will open. So you can see, yeah, it is a little bit trying. Ooh, I forgot about those doors. I love this door. This was fun. Oh, this was a fun project. Oh. So, yeah, you can have these doors here kind of go. Of course, I wouldn't make that sound because it's made of stone. I just don't want to do a stone making sound right now. Was watching some hard RU Skills ZBrush modeling vids for environment switches to Maya. The problems I would have with ZBrush is the fact that you can't just like walk through your scene and you can't just like set yourself in the scene. You don't get a good sense of scales. ZBrush tends to be a little bit more proppy. Like modeling each individual one of these pieces is fine, but if you want to model an entire environment, it gets a little bit trying. But like if you want to just make a door, it's perfect for that. You know, there's no that's easy. It's working on it in context that can get a little bit tricky. But as far as just like taking any one of these pieces and working on it, you can use it for that all day long. So as long as you can, I would say, if you need to do this, go through and kind of pick and choose like, okay, I'm going to work on this floor that's blocked out, kind of get a sense of scale with everything together, and then just hide everything and then just work on the floor. That's what I would do. Doing sculpts from old school PS1 game characters to learn the program. Just wasn't sure if they're okay to include in your portfolio. I would say if it looks awesome and you're proud of it, put it in your portfolio. I don't think anybody's going to call you out on like, well, that's proprietary uh, information or something. It's like the Ninja Turtles that we do. You can totally put those or the Earthworm Jim. If you go to my YouTube channel, I mean, I wouldn't put the Earthworm Jim in my portfolio, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would. I would fix it first. But oh, you know what? Yeah, this little guy here we did. Sure, why not? or you know what? Yeah, no fun is allowed. Don't ever have fun when you're doing this stuff. All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up. I'm going to start recording. So coming up soon is, let me go to my recordings here. So we've got through Sculptress Pro, the new snake hook, Tessimate, Project Primitive, and most of these deformers here. I'm going to go through a couple more deformers, do polygroup it, and I think we're in good shape. I'm going to start dropping them this week as I start editing them. So we'll have a ZBrush 2018 What's New coming out. Keep your eyes peeled, and you guys have a